looks like an ADCP here. Today we'll be covering a cybersecurity update. Essentially, the CISA brought out new legislation with vulnerabilities, zero trust, not trusting anything. ZT, zero trust, is not trusting anything. Vulnerabilities, identifying vulnerabilities, reporting of vulnerabilities, new laws. It's mandatory to report all vulnerabilities and risks to cybersecurity and that risk our critical infrastructure. Well, industry lobby groups are against it. A lot of the industry people actually do the cybersecurity attacks. Access phone cameras, access files through the public key infrastructure, PKI, and the network router, SIPRN router. Then they access phone cameras. Entire countries have entire buildings to see what Australia has, what other countries have, what other companies have, so they're very reluctant in implementing the new laws. And we're coming to some of the solutions, implementing new cybersecurity laws, which is mandatory in all companies. So all the vulnerabilities, all the mitigating risks, not mitigating, but addressing all the risks. You have to reporting risks, report all the risks to critical infrastructure. And the industry lobby groups, they're very against it. They had a lot of problems implementing it. A lot of people do these cyber attacks, cyber intrusions. It's fair to say half the world do it, and the other half are victims to it. They're very reluctant to implement these new measures. (887) cybersecurity update. This is the cybersecurity update. USMI, National Security Cybersecurity Update. Ministers, Wee and Hornsby. Industry sees an opportunity to highlight what it described as an internal inconsistency in the billing, requiring the vendors certify their products are free of known vulnerabilities, while at the same time asking them to show agencies a plan to mitigate any vulnerabilities identified through the bill of materials or other means. In a September 14th letter to the Senate leaders, trade associations for big information, communication technology companies more generally complain that the amendment is premature and conflicts with existing administration efforts. The letter coincided with a memo the Office of Management and Budget issued the same day that said agencies may ask vendors for SBO submit a bill of materials to serve as an artifact of attestations to the quality of their products and services. The memo also commits CISA into publishing updated guidance on software bill of materials for federal agencies as appropriate. So the industry sees an opportunity to highlight, describe as internal inconsistency. A lot of inconsistency. A lot of people are against during the new cybersecurity laws.
Photo, 12 June, 2026, at 3:57 a.m. Photo, caption, for release at 5 p.m. ET. Contracts for May 21, 2026. Navy Management Services Group doing business as Global Technical Systems, Virginia Beach, Virginia, N00039269501, Leidos, Reston, Virginia, N00039269502, Serco, Herndon, Virginia, N00039269,503, Systems Engineering Support Company, San Diego, California, N00039269,504, and VT Milcom, a wholly owned subsidiary of VT Group Holdings Incorporated, Virginia Beach, Virginia, N00039269,505, are each being awarded an indefinite delivery indefinite quantity, firm fixed price contract for automated digital network system production units, components, COTS software, spares, lab material, future cyber threat upgrades and mission-focused upgrades to support required target inventory objectives for shore and afloat platforms and airborne routing systems. The estimated, cumulative, value of the multiple award contracts is $452,930,000. This contract has an 8-year ordering period up to the contract award ceiling amount. There are no options. Work will be performed in San Diego, California, Herndon, Virginia, Manassas, Virginia, Reston, Virginia, and Virginia Beach, Virginia. Work is expected to be completed by May 2034. Naval Information Warfare Systems Command, San Diego, California, is the contracting activity 12 June 2026 at 3:56 a.m. Qui Intel FOUOUR 887 September 27, 2022 Qui Intel FOUO by Hard Unitilica page 1 of 88. This content is classified for CUI, unclassified, or information classified at a lower level than the overall classification displayed. This content shall not be used as a source of derivative classification. Refer instead to Executive Order 12333 United States Intelligence Activities. It must be reviewed for both classified national security information, CNSI, and CUI in accordance with DOTI 5230.09 prior to public release. USME Information Warfare Cyber Update 2022 as per article. Industry objections spur changes to cybersecurity provisions in Defense Bill. Key members of the House and Senate are altering proposals for identifying systemically important critical infrastructure and securing the software supply chain. Link, https://www.nextgov.com/cybersecurity/2022/09/industry-objections-spur. Change a cybersecurity provisions Defense Bill /377,518 key P number equals corresponding highlighted daily intelligence brief page 00.
They're hindering all the cybersecurity. Essentially, the Solarium Commission ministers hindering. It's not actually hindering. Okay, let's get this. Key members of the House and Senate altering proposals for identifying systematically important critical infrastructure and securing the software supply chain. An important set of lawmakers trying to advance cybersecurity policy this year's National Defense Authorization Act with implications for agency procurement and risk management, which is national security, is reworking their initial proposals after industry complaints, according to one of the lawmakers. So these are the people that do the cybersecurity. They do the malware. They do the public key infrastructure. Your screen is on their screen, slowing computers down. Malware, cyber intrusion, cyber hack vulnerabilities. All the vulnerabilities are created by these people. Decision makers now from the dissolved Cyberspace Solarium Commission is a lobby group to lobby the ministers, to lobby the senators. Now these people have all been taken in. Now it's just the ministers and we that are left. We, which are Hornsby. We are Hornsby. Charter Montgomery, who served as a commission, now Montgomery. He'll follow as senior director of FBI Technology Innovation. He was working with Gallagher the King. Provisions. First two provisions integrate. So they cause what they're doing. inconsistency. So they want the money for doing the work, but they don't seem to do the work. Industry seized on the opportunity to highlight what it described as an internal inconsistency in the bill, requiring that vendors certify their products are free from known vulnerabilities, while at the same time asking them to show agencies a plan to mitigate any vulnerabilities identified through the bill and the bill of materials or other means. We'll cover the bill in a second. So all the vulnerabilities need to be identified. Massive, lots of vulnerabilities. Threats to national security, threats to infrastructure, threats to critical infrastructure. Plan to mitigate any vulnerabilities. In a September 14, the Senate leaders, trade associations for big information and communication technology companies more generally complained that the amendment is premature and conflicts with existing administration efforts. The letter coincided with a memo the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, issued the same day that said agencies may ask vendors for SBOMs to serve as an artifact for attestations to the quality of the products and services, attestations to the quality and publishing updated guidance on software bill of materials as inappropriate. So we got a lot of problems. Computers slowing down, lots of intrusions, hundreds of intrusions where screens are mirrored, vulnerability where they're stealing credentials, credential-based attacks, where they're stealing IP addresses, where they're stealing trade secrets, ministers, and we, Hornsby. So we update that. Ministers, and we, Hornsby. industry sees the opportunity to highlight what is described internal inconsistency in the bill required. So so they don't want to implement the law. Vulnerability, reduce the risk of vulnerabilities, cyber intrusion, cyber attacks, hijacking systems, hijacking controls. Ministers and we Hornsby. Copy. Ministers and Hornsby. Now, this is the cybersecurity, the annual report implementation. They're still doing this executive summary. So for the update, they're still implementing it. The past 2 years have been witness to significant improvements in US cybersecurity. Critical legislation has broken loose from long-standing judicial conflicts to become law. It's become law. Congress passed the Cyber Incident Reporting Act, which required critical infrastructure companies to report cyber attacks and ransomware incidents. Lawmakers have increased funding for government cybersecurity efforts, particularly at the country's primary cybersecurity agency, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, in the Department of Homeland Security, whose budget has grown by more than 25% from $2 billion to FY20 appropriation to $2.5 billion for the financial year 2020 appropriation. Even more funding is expected in financial year 2023. The White House now has National Cyber Director, NCD, to lead the coordination of cybersecurity strategy and policy implementation. Across collectively, these changes will help determine align actors in cyberspace and shore up defences at home. They will also make digital interaction safer for stakeholders across industry around the world. Most importantly, these changes will help to protect every American who uses the internet to work, study and stay connected with loved ones. However, this progress cannot become a combination of US government focus on cybersecurity. It must be a prelude to even further changes. Congress created the Cyberspace Solarium Commission, CSC, to identify strategic approach to security in cyberspace over the course of 3 years. That's in industry, lobbying industry to get it motivated. Industry are very reluctant in getting it happening because they do a lot of the intrusions. So 116 recommendations, many of which are accompanied by model legislative language. The Commission's original report in March 2020 added 82 recommendations. Of these, nearly 6% are fully implemented or nearing implementation, and more than 25% are on track to implementation. However, the implementation is not the same as success. Lasting improvements in national cyber resilience will take sustained attention and investments and agility to address the ever-shifting threat landscape. The threat landscape. All these LRAD, cybersecurity intrusions, network, mind reader, Howie Sonic unit, accessing cameras, accessing videos, accessing personal data, intellectual property, product designs, blueprints, plans, research and development, and sending it overseas. Long race to 6 other countries, have entire countries where they can look in and see what anyone has, what any company has. It's not secure. It's not enough. We urge leaders to consider this report as a mid-course check, laying a path for many stakeholders in government and industry charged with the task that we cannot afford to fail, protecting our national cybersecurity. Finance sector deals, latest blow to Cyber Solarium Construct Commission, Washington. So they're going back and forth. On regulation, so the regulation is all in place. So the industry really reluctant in getting it done, and they're the ministers. So essentially, they're the ministers. They're the ministers. Ministers, we, Hornsby. Up to 14, I think. Industry will be goes back and forth, sees and plans to measure the effect of coming standards on cyber industry security. So we've implemented standards, good national plan, performance goals, national security memorandum. None of this has been implemented actually. There's a lot of resistance to this. CISO strategic plan, risk reduction, message from the director, reduce risk, strengthen resilience, critical infrastructure, strengthen whole and nation operational collaboration. Purpose is strategic infrastructure, cybersecurity mission, and promotes unity effort across the agency. For our partners, everything's there they would need to implement. Current risk landscape, elevated cyber threats are the new normal. Diversity, complexity, expanse of a nation's physical infrastructure poses unique challenges. Our mission, CSO core values, service, principles, strategic plan overview, senior national defense effort, increases ability to accurately detect cyber threats targeting America's critical infrastructure and critical networks. Collaboration. Perform public official legendary hackers decision to expose what he described disaster security environment. Company is permanent unlikely alliance in Congress. Software supply chain. Enhancing the security of enhancing is including the LRAD, the cybersecurity of the software supply chain. Ministers, we Hornsby. Routine. Supply chain practices enhance cybersecurity software supply chain. is national security. Software supply chain is national security. And these are the solutions for it, which is that Zero Trust implemented.
Qui Intel FOUOUR 888 December 1st 2022 Qui Intel FOUO by Hargunatilica page 1 of 122 This content is classified for CUI, unclassified, or information classified at a lower level than the overall classification displayed. This content shall not be used as a source of derivative classification. Refer instead to Executive Order 12333 United States Intelligence Activities. It must be reviewed for both classified national security information, CNSI, and CUI in accordance with DoD 5230.09 prior to public release, as per DoD Zero Trust Strategy. Link, https://dodgeo.defense.gov/portals/portals/zero/dod-zt strategy.pdf post ZT. Now that ZT is fully implemented across the DoD, all NPEs are checked and verified at multiple points prior to them being allowed to get onto or remain connected to the system. Systems administrators now check that everything on the network is appropriately patched and updated, nothing has been unknowingly changed or modified, and everything on the network is fully enrolled. Because this is done on a real-time, automatic basis, systems administrators can now focus on items of highest risk and have a fighting chance to stay ahead of threats as they mutate and or persist. Key P number equals corresponding highlighted daily intelligence brief page 00.
Every member of the DoD Department of Defense must have a zero trust mindset. Mindset requires responsibility for the security of our devices, application, assets, and services. Components adopt integrate zero trust capabilities, technology solutions, and processes across their architecture systems and within their budget and execution plans. Gap analysis. So there's a gap analysis there, that's me. ZT adoption through several courses of action. The ZT solution architectures, their execution plans accordingly to this strategy. This strategy lays out the department's vision for zero trust and sets the path to achieve it. So these are solutions for it. So this is the architecture. You have all your company folders in this systems in this architecture. Achieve zero trust interpretation across systems and networks, non-classified internet protocol router network, NRIP, and secret internet protocol router network, SIPRNDT, which we'll be covering at the end. This is how they actually get into the systems and cause a vulnerability by the public key infrastructure through the router. This is what they have a lot of problems because a lot of companies, they access files, do a lot of espionage, a lot of eavesdropping. Companies look at other people's companies, rival companies' systems and stuff. We really need to secure the public key infrastructure through the secret internet protocol router network, which we're covering at the end. Evolution towards next generation security architecture. This is next generation security architecture. Authorization to be on, authentication to get onto networks. Authorization to be on, authentication to get onto networks. That's the power the public key infrastructure does. It gives you authorization to get onto the networks. It's for the Department of Defense public key infrastructure. Joint Warfighting Concept, JWCC, information data must be effectively shared, accessed and protected and based on user attributes, operational need, and delivered by least privilege policies. Gap analysis. Strategic principles, gap analysis.
Also, main command and control, mission partner environment, and several other initiatives support. A series of grinding principles provide guardrails or parameters for DoD and component leaders when making decisions regarding how best to implement the strategy and execute the ZT capability. Execution is through the gap analysis, through my analysis. Mission-orientated organizational governance, hybrid work, location agnostic, all users and non-persons entities, NPEs, must access, collaborate, work and execute missions on any network where they both have the right to access and govern with least privilege with any location based on dynamic credentials governed by principles of least privilege and safeguarding information organization. Presumed breach. Limit the blast radius, the extent of breach of potential damage incurred by a breach, or segmenting access, reducing the attack surface and monitoring risk in real time within DoD's risk tolerance levels and thresholds. Governance and technical. This is what we have to do. Zero trust pillars. User devices, applications, secure everything from applications, segment, isolate, control, visibility and analytics, automation, orchestration, ZT zero trust. This is what we all have to do. Simplified architecture. You can see there simplified architecture. It needs to be a simplified architecture. 1.1, 1.2 indexed. Information systems secured and defended. That's what we're lacking. We're not having our information systems defended. We can't go and do what they do back to them. Like, we can't disable their systems and attack them with the LRAD, because that will make us just as guilty. We need to take them in. They need to be apprehended as a matter of priority. Zero trust enablement. Process policies finding unnecessary to ensure the zero trust framework is cemented across the DoD IE. This means department level and component level processes and resources must be reimagined and or synchronized with ZD principles and approaches. That's what I just said. They need to be taken in. This resourcing sustainable and built into adjacent, complementary and synergistic DoD technology, information security and budgeting efforts and initiatives. This goal identifies the tail to the ZT tooth. The latter being unable to achieve its mission without the former, and requires the whole ZT ecosystem attention and effort, and cannot be addressed at a later time. Cannot be addressed later. You can't do it later. So these are simplified architectures. Multi-pronged approach, continuously refined as the strategic context involves. You need to pour resources into an opening. Must understand fluid. You need to be fluid in these things. Pour resources into an opening. As soon as one vulnerability comes up, a risk, a vulnerability, attack vectors, they need to be apprehended. You need to align your priorities and goals. Synergistic technology, information security, budgeting efforts are a tail to the zip delay, unable to achieve mission without the former, requires the whole of ecosystem. Component process resources must be reimagined or synchronized with ZT principles and approaches. Must be synchronized with zero trust approaches. What does? Let's have a look. Finding necessary, the framework is cemented across the DoD IE. Department level, component level processes and resources. Processes and resources. All processes and resources must be aligned across the ZT principles. Resourcing, here, ZT resourcing. We just covered resourcing, DoD, Chief Information Officer, Program Objective, Memorandum, Acquisition, National Security, Measurement and Metrics, Summary Execute. Achieving objectives laid out strategy requires the coordinated efforts of the joint force and the entire defence ecosystem. Everyone in the department has a role to ensure the success of ZT while protecting data is central to ZT. Zero trust, which is not trusting anything. Not trusting any vulnerabilities. Successfully implementing a ZT framework requires that the entire department understands and embraces the culture of ZT. To achieve the DoD Zero Trust strategic vision, the department must pursue the strategic goals outlined above as an enterprise. While this is an enormous task, the DoD has already made significant progress dating over a decade. DoD has advanced cybersecurity through initiatives such as continuous monitoring, multi-factor authentication, and other technologies and solutions that create safety, and the benefits it provides must become part of the department's lexicon and be accounted for in every plan and operation. Cybersecurity in the world today is, by definition, a moving target. And while it may move, the concept or the culture will remain the same, even as the department adapts to refine strategy ongoing. And open communication and coordination underpinned by proper funding and resourcing are key to this strategy's success. The department's ability to protect, by extension, a DoD personnel against an array of increasingly sophisticated cybersecurity threats depends on it. This is what we have to do, simplified architecture. These are simplified architectures, grouping all the planning, resourcing, timeline, resourcing, recommendations, and other resources. Use the inventories. This is where you structure your IT system, your folder structure. Your folders are structured like this: user, device, application, data, zero trust capabilities, network, automation, orchestration, visibility, and analytics. So you can easily see the vulnerability. This is what we have to do, ZT. You have to structure your folders like this. Zero trust. Director Huggles like a GCVA, ADCP. Has to do advanced zero trust. Have to structure it like that. Advanced zero trust. You have to structure your architectures like this. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. User device, application workload, data, network environment, automation, orchestration, visibility, and analytics. Baseline achieves target by the end of 2027. That's to be achieved by the end of 2027 across all industry by law. Now we go on to user accelerator, the more user data they're structuring, simplified architectures. Now we have DoD memory public key infrastructure. What I was saying before, this is how they get access to everything. Get access to all your files, folders, activate phone cameras, get into your systems. Protocol router network, SIPR and net. Consistent requirements stated in references. Definition policy. Implement DO maintain certificate lifecycle. Public key infrastructure certificates. Department of Defense approve these Department of Defense credentials to get into everything. Responsibilities, procedure, reusability, unlimited reusability. So it has to be secured. Internet protocol router. Internet protocol router, SIPR and net. How to see it, you retard. The LRA doesn't say you can't see it. Put it right there. SIPR. We Hornsby. in a second. So then we have protocol, router network, and the public key infrastructure. Is how they access all the how they get into it, which has to be resolved with all the solutions over